Welcome everybody to another episode of Get Fresh, Stoughton's own cooking show. We're thrilled to have you. We're here with Laura McDougall, who's our chef, and we're here with Carlos Vargas, who's now our chef too. So today we're doing a show on searing, braising, and sautéing. We're going to tell you the difference between those methods of cooking, and we're going to be doing some of each in the dishes that we're doing. We're doing a pork chop, we're doing a braised cabbage recipe, and we're doing a chicken with Brussels sprouts recipe, and that's going to be sautéed. So first is the pork chop, and Carlos is working on that.
Absolutely. So the pork chop has been brined for about 4 or 5 hours.
So talk about brining.
Brining is...
Because I'm lazy, so I don't always brine. I am.
Yeah, so
Everyone knows that now, I'm lazy.
So what brining is it's you just basically put some water and salt and flavor. So here I have garlic, I've got red pepper, I've got thyme and bay leaf, and then the meat sits in there. And what?
So it's just in a Ziploc.
Exactly, and sugar, because sugar is going to help it all start to brown up and all that goodness
So how
that happens
long?
with it. A minimum of 2 hours. This is maybe 4 or 5 hours. But what the salt does, the salt starts to break down the muscle tissue.
So it's more tender.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important.
The other side of brining is if you let it sit for too long, then the meat becomes bush. So it's one of those type of things
So just
where...
perfect.
Exactly.
So this is, the brine ingredients are in the recipe that
They
will
are.
be posted on
Yeah.
Stoughton Media Access as well.
And so what you want to do is you want to just really pat the chops dry, then you want to butterfly them. And Chef, thank you for doing that for me.
You're welcome. Just slicing up some apples.
Yep.
We're going to go inside.
And butterflying means cutting it horizontally in half and opening it up flat, kind of?
Right,
or-
and
But
really...
not all the way through.
Yep,
Yeah,
and
not all the way through.
Right.
Like forming a pocket.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. And after we do this, we're going to
Can they
wrap.
you turn it
Absolutely.
after you do it?
Absolutely.
Just so everybody can
So
see.
you just want to, through the center here, not all the way, and you can kind of feel how far that knife is coming all the way back here. Just kind of open it up and just give it a little pocket.
Because we're stuffing it.
Yeah, we're going to
So
stuff it.
that's going to be fun.
So that's about there. I leave the fat on because the fat I brown and
Right.
it really adds a lot of
It
flavor
does,
to it.
it does.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going
This
to take...
fat is good.
So this is what, braising? Are you going to be searing?
I'm going to be
Searing,
searing it,
okay.
right? So I'm going to be searing it, and I'm going to take some of the apple.
Go right ahead.
Perfect.
Laura, tell us a little bit searing versus braising, which sound sort of the same to me. Are they the same?
Not even close.
Thanks, Laura.
That's okay. Searing is when you're basically browning your meat. It's a chemical reaction that happens within the meat, bringing out the sugars in the meat and forming that nice crust,
And
as
that's
we
a
know.
short-term
And it's short-term,
activity?
usually a dry pan, very hot. You want to basically you want to hear that kind of
Right.
sound when you put it in the pan.
Right. Similar to what we do when you're searing a steak before you're cooking the whole
Exactly,
thing.
exactly. So that's just basically sealing in the juices, helping to protect the meat and giving it good flavor with that caramelization. Whereas braising is slow, long cooking in liquid. So it helps break things down as well.
Oh, I see.
And,
So that's more stewish?
it's stewish, yeah. Stews are a braise of sorts, if
right.
you will, yeah.
That's
And then sautéing is basically, that really truly means to jump in French. If you think of
Ah.
it that way, it's kind of a weird thing. But when you think about it, you put a little bit of oil or fat in your pan, you put your ingredients in there, and you're keeping it moving so it doesn't burn, it's not searing.
Oh,
You want to make
okay.
sure things get cooked, so you're jumping, literally making things
But
jump
nothing is really
in the
burning
pan.
like it would
And
in
it's
searing.
yeah, and it's just a quick way to kind of get the heat on things. You know, stir fries are really technically sautéing. You're
Correct,
just keeping things
correct.
moving in a very hot
And
pan.
I do lots of stir
That's
fries.
great.
That's another
Yeah.
I
leftover,
didn't know
whatever
that.
you've got, put it in a pan.
That's great.
So
Good to
these are
know.
cute little pork pockets.
They are pork pockets, and then what I do, you can use toothpicks to hold them all together, but the prosciutto,
This is
the
prosciutto.
Parma does an
Oh, that's good.
amazing...
Tell us, it's ham,
It's
correct?
ham. It's an Italian cured ham that I found out today by my chef over here. That's
And
what
we're
she's
very
been using.
fortunate to have this from
We
International
are.
Gourmet,
Adelina-
as well as the pork chops.
That's right, as well as the pork chop. She
They're
does a great
in
job.
Brockton, but lots of Stoughton people shop there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That's
don't have to
okay.
do a lot of salting with this because you have the
No.
salt in the brine. You also have the
Right.
salt in the.
Absolutely.
So this is an interesting way to keep
Prosciutto.
it coated.
Yeah, so
And,
it's
you know,
just kind
cover it and
of,
keep it a little fatty too.
and I do this with salmon as well, once in a while.
Oh, that
Oh,
would be
really?
delicious.
Wrap up the salmon, so.
But you know, everyone I know is eating salmon to be healthy. so I
Yeah.
don't know how this goes with that.
Sometimes flavor,
It's very thin, though.
it is.
Beats
So to do
bacon.
that- Yeah,
Yeah, it does beat bacon.
beats bacon.
Okay.
Just gonna take a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of butter.
Which is
The
a nice
olive-
combination.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of adds it, does its whole goodness there.
And you don't use just butter because the olive oil protects the butter from burning. It's a little point.
That's right. That's right. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna toss the chops in here.
They're nice and fat. Look at them.
They
They're
are.
really thick and terrific.
It makes
And I'm
really
chopping
beautiful.
a shallot for
Yeah.
Carlos that he's going to
Thank you
need
so much.
shortly.
So then I'm gonna turn that down just a little bit. Make sure that your oven is on for 325 because about 3-4 minutes on one side, 2-3 minutes on the other side, it goes into the oven and it finishes doing its goodness in there.
Now, if you wanted to, you could keep it in a pan and...
You can. Well, I'm just gonna take the pan and put it in there
Right,
and then I'll deglaze it after it's done.
Right,
So-
but
It
if
depends
people
on the
didn't wanna-
thickness of your pork chop, because if you let it sit too long to cook the pork chop, it would burn
yeah, I
everything
would
on the
agree that
outside.
it's better to do what you described.
Yeah, where the oven will finish cooking it, because you want to cook your pork, but,
Carlos, you want this real small?
Yes, please. Fine, that'd be great. And what you want to do is you want to get it so that it's starting to brown, but not burn. That one just about there. Got this one going on
You
as
see
well.
that clearly? That
Yep,
looks
so we'll do
fabulous.
that
We'll
looks
do
really
that.
good. You want to have your vent on too when
Yeah,
you're doing this.
absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Our house had a barbecue in the center island, and it had a big vent fan above it. So
Nice.
Steve and I moved in, and we go, oh, let's cook pork chops.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, the whole house full of smoke. The smoke thing was going off, and
Yeah, you gotta have a
eventually we
good
covered
hood.
it up, and that was that.
Nice.
No more grill in the middle.
Yeah, it was a cute idea. It didn't work for indoors, really.
And
So while that's searing, I'm just
Yep.
going to heat up a little butter and an olive oil, same concept, just to get a really good flavor. The butter's going to add good flavor to my dish. And I'm just going to saute up some onions that have just been chopped up.
Now, Laura, a lot of people use butter and olive oil
Yeah.
together, and what's the reason?
Well, the butter adds a lot of really good flavor, and the olive oil keeps the butter from burning
Ah,
when you're doing a
the
dish
butter
like
will
this.
get brown pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And
So-
maybe not smell and taste so good.
Yeah, I mean, there's brown butter, which is wonderful, and then there's burnt butter, which is not good.
Not so wonderful.
So the olive oil is a higher smoke point, and you can saute more with it, get it to a
Right.
higher temperature.
Right.
Little
Boy, those pork
pieces.
chops are looking great, aren't they?
Yeah,
They
this
Can you see
smell
them well?
fabulous too.
They're terrific. Is it hot?
It is a little warm.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
might wanna
that's a
tip
nice
it up and
cast
let
iron
everybody
pan.
see really well. See those? Can you see Jay? Oh my God, they look amazing. I mean, those would feed like 2 people each.
Yeah.
You think?
Absolutely, yeah.
In your
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, not in my house. Not in my house, but then
In our
that,
house, yes.
these are almost done. Maybe another 30 seconds on each side there, and I'll pop them into the oven. Red cabbage, my favorite.
Oh,
Yes,
so
it
red
goes so well
cabbage,
with
coconut
pork, too.
pie.
Yeah,
I'm just worried
yeah.
about the handles there,
Yeah.
walking.
Move that over, sorry.
great, there you
Beautiful red
go.
cabbage.
favorite.
I didn't quite get to the core, but I'm just going to take some red cabbage. I'm going to cut it down this way, and we're going to add this. We're going to very thinly slice it.
And
add
that's
it
where
in.
that chef's knife is great.
Yes.
Because I wouldn't be able to do that with a little knife.
Or mandolin, if you have one, would work really
Oh,
nicely
really?
here.
Wow.
Yeah. And braised cabbage, I mean, pork and pork chops and applesauce, but
Exactly.
which we have the
No, the
apples in there
cabbage goes
already.
great.
But braised red cabbage is wonderful, and usually braised red cabbage, takes a long time to cook. It's usually an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Really
Really?
low and slow, hence the braising part of it. But as we talked about, sometimes you don't have that kind of time, or you want
Right.
to eat, today, or you're home late. So this is a quick version of braised red cabbage. And we're
And
just,
why did you pick red versus green?
the red it offers a little nicer flavor. It's not as cabbagey, if you would. It's a
Uh-huh.
little sweeter.
It's pretty, certainly.
It's very pretty. And
Less
not that you
gassy.
can't.
Less gassy.
Less
And that's
gassy.
important,
Well,
people.
yeah, that's
I find
true.
it less
That's
gassy.
That
important.
too.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry to get right down to that, but it's important.
no, that's all right.
I'm gonna
But I
take
think,
these
go
in
ahead.
the oven.
So they're going in the oven.
They are.
Fabulous. And what's the oven set at?
The oven is set at 325. I'm going to wait about 10-15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and I'll check it. And start something going over here.
So your pork chop should be cooked to
145.
degrees.
after they've
and
set.
that's with a
So
meat
it's
thermometer
135 to
be
140.
safe.
When you
right?
pull them out, right?
Yep, exactly.
And Carlos has a meat thermometer, and he is going to check them.
Just
Yeah,
change
and a
mine.
little
Yep.
bit of pink these days is okay, like it used to
Right,
not be a
pork
good
was
thing.
right, pork has changed.
But a little bit
apparently.
of pink still
Yeah.
bothers a lot of people.
It does, but it was trichinosis that was the issue.
Yeah,
that
it's a lot
I think
safer.
they've worked
Yeah,
through.
Get back in there.
Yeah, right.
Sauteing, it literally jumped out of the pan, you see that? So, we're just gonna get that so it starts to cook down. You can see it's gonna be really nice and pretty. We're gonna add some spices to that and let it simmer with a little red wine vinegar. The vinegar actually helps break down the cabbage a little bit and soften it up, and that's why we add it in there.
So what spices are you adding?
We are adding a little allspice, a little cinnamon. You can use clove as well instead of the
Oh.
allspice. The recipe, I believe, calls for clove. I like allspice. I just think it has a little
Nice.
nicer flavor. But if you don't like those flavors, you can, do caraway. You can do little thyme or rosemary would be good too, depending on the flavors of what you're serving it with.
Now, we're going to serve this with the pork chops.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with the
So-
warm, sweeter
Yeah,
spices.
so
I
it
think
should
it'll be
really
perfect.
be kind of a sweet taste.
And again, we're going to add them in as it's cooking so that it warms up the spices, really brings out the flavor in them. So if you're using the cloves or your allspice, a teeny, teeny bit, it's very strong, it's like the nutmeg. We are adding a little nutmeg too.
I love nutmeg, and I don't find nutmeg strong. I like add twice or
like
three
it.
times as much nutmeg
It's
as most
all
recipes
to,
call
Yeah.
for.
all preferences
Everybody's
certainly.
different, yeah.
I'm a big spice person, I like a lot of bold flavors, but some people don't, so.
Right.
You adapt it, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great thing about these dishes, right? You can
I
just-
know,
Yeah.
I
And
know,
what is
it's
that
true.
that you're putting
This is nutmeg, so
Nutmeg,
nutmeg
And what are you
comes.
using? Yeah.
Do I have a whole one in here? I use a lot of nutmeg. So they come as, that's the nutmeg. The outside of it is the mace, if you ever see mace as
Oh,
a
I do
spice.
see
Oh, no
mace.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't know
mace is
that.
like the shell of the nutmeg,
Huh.
and not the shell,
And you
but the
can eat
little
Yeah, covering.
skin, yeah, that's on there. And this is just a little grinder, and just a little bit in there. Again,
So
not
where
too
do you
much.
buy, I've never seen nutmeg sold like
I buy mine
that.
at Penzies,
I never
but
heard
I
of
have
that.
seen them in the jars like Shaw's or
Oh,
I'm sure
really?
Whole
They'll be
Foods or
jarred like
something.
that?
Yeah, they only come a
Nice.
couple, but Penzies you can get
But they
nice
must
bags.
last a lot longer
They
if
do.
you get it that way.
They do.
Spices, they say, get rid of it in a year.
Yeah,
Not
that's
so
what
much
they
that
say.
way,
Not
but a bottle
necessarily.
of spice.
Your ground spices after a year, they start to lose their oomph,
Their
if
oomph,
you would.
right.
The whole spices will hold up better, but,
Right.
and you want to keep them away from heat. That's really the key.
Right, and doesn't
That's the
everyone
key.
keep their spices right near the stove?
Right above
I
the
know,
stove,
we
right?
do,
We
I
all
know.
do.
Right,
I know,
exactly.
and that's really the worst thing.
When I first got married, we had a pantry. And it was a separate room off the kitchen, and it had shelves and drawers, and it was terrific. It was a big old apartment in kind of Roxbury, Dorchester
yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And God, I miss that pantry every day.
Nice closet,
I
right?
mean, I have lots of cabinets, but it's not the same as a separate room
Sure, yeah.
where things aren't near the
Just
heat.
reach.
Yeah.
So that was what?
So I added a little bit of brown sugar and a little bit of red wine vinegar. Now the sugar and the vinegar, we talked about the vinegar breaking down the cabbage, but the brown sugar just sort of tempers it a little bit so it's not so acidic
Yeah,
and,
right.
tart.
Could you use other vinegars? There's a big push now. Apple cider vinegar, I
Right,
love
right.
rice vinegar, champagne vinegar is another
You know,
one.
when I put apples in my cabbage, I do like the apple cider
Cider
vinegar. This one is the red wine vinegar, which works really beautifully too, a little more German style, I believe.
Right.
But yeah, you could do other vinegars. The balsamic, be careful because it reduces and it
strong,
could
too.
also burn
Right.
as you
Yeah.
braise,
Yeah.
so let it kind of go that way. And I think that was everything that we're doing in there. Yes, we did. All right, great. So we're just going to let that sit for about 15 minutes or so and just let it cook down. In the meantime, I have another pan and we're going to do the Brussels sprouts and we're going to add a little chicken to it.
I'm very excited about showing you this, people, because I didn't know, I've known it for a few years, but I didn't know initially how Brussels sprouts grew. You always see them in a little box, and there are a few of them,
Right,
or
right.
they're loose in a store, but I never really saw them. And the
they
first
come
time
as a
I did it
family.
was like,
Right,
wow. So we got one for you to show you. They come on a big stalk. Hang on. Whoa.
It's
Yeah,
true. I don't think
right.
like people
Look
think of
at
how they
this.
grow.
Yeah. No, nobody knows,
No,
right?
they
They're
don't
like
see it.
little
If you saw
cabbages.
this, it was like, Brussels sprouts? Really? That's
Brussels
how they grow? So you cut them off the stalk, and they're really fresh that way.
Exactly.
Apparently, there are some leaves, not too many on this
Yeah.
one,
That's the sound you want when you saute or sear.
And that's chicken, that's chicken
That's
boneless,
just chicken that's been sliced up.
boneless chicken thighs,
removing some
boneless
of these?
skinless?
Yeah, if you guys want to take off, I'd say maybe about 10 of them.
What
Okay.
size are you cutting? 'Cause they should be
the bigger
around,
one?
oh, we're gonna slice
think?
them though,
We're
right?
going to slice them up, yep. So we're just sauteing our chicken. Again, keep it moving, keep it jumping.
Wow.
And add a little salt and pepper.
The thing about the
Give me salt and
stock
pepper.
is, it's
Sorry.
difficult to put in your refrigerator. It's really large, and if you bring it home, you're a little stuck with it.
But you know, you don't have to refrigerate the stocks. Just keep it in a
Oh,
cooler
really?
place. Like, don't put it
that's
next to
great
the heater.
know.
Yeah, they'll hold up.
We're done?
I think we're done.
Okay, so you've seen it, don't say we didn't teach you anything.
And these have been washed, so
They
we just
have
need to
been
chop
washed,
them.
yeah. So we're going to slice them very thin, so almost like a shred. And I would
Okay.
start from this end, if you can see that, and just kind of go across.
And you don't try to take off the loose leaves?
You can if you want,
Okay.
but being it's all shredded up. If I was roasting them, I would.
Right.
So you see, that way we get nice little rings. And that's going to cook up really fast. So if you
Perfect.
guys can do that for me. Again, the mandolin
Getting
is a
my
really
bigger
good thing
knife.
here.
You don't want the core though, right?
Using your spoon, sorry. No, don't. When you get to the end, you want to
Yeah,
take the
just
core
leave it.
out.
These are like little mini cabbages, huh?
They are.
So versatile. I made Brussels sprouts hash last night for dinner.
Say that
That's
again?
so good.
Brussels sprouts hash.
Hash.
bacon?
And what
Yeah.
did you do with it?
I used chorizo, the Portuguese version of it, not the Spanish, and
Yummy.
some carrots, and I finished it with some fresh tomatoes.
Oh,
So
yum.
kind of,
Oh, that sounds interesting. I like that.
if it had been breakfast, I would have thrown a couple of eggs on it.
Why
Eggs
not,
on everything
right?
apparently
Right, right.
now works.
Why not? So as that's cooking, that cooked up pretty quickly. You can see we had a nice hot pan.
Yeah, chicken goes fast.
Yep, and you do want to make sure that it's cooked through. To this, we're going to add a clove of, well, the recipe is 2. We're making half. We're doing a clove of garlic and just have that chopped up.
It's been about 7 minutes. I'm gonna check the pork.
It sounds good. Yeah, you don't want to overcook your pork chops because they will be dry.
Right. I mean, the apples in it would help, I presume.
The apples
If there are
help, the
apples in
prosciutto
there.
helps.
Brining helps as well.
Yeah, the brining helps a lot, I'm sure. So I guess I'm going to have to be spending more time in the kitchen. I'm going to be brining. So we've cut up the Brussels sprouts.
Yep, and
They're
you
all
can toss those in.
Oh,
This is very
fabulous.
quick, this dish. And then I just had a nice apple. You want a nice firm apple that you're going to be using, and just cutting it into small little chunks. So
There you
this
go.
is going to give the sweetness to the bitter flavor of the Brussels sprouts. And we're leaving the skin on. It's just a little added flavor plus a little extra color. So you do want to wash it really well, of course.
That looks fabulous. So this
the
is
smells.
a, you know, so yeah, it's just terrific.
Yeah, if you guys can keep that moving a little bit so
Sure.
we don't burn,
Yeah,
just
okay.
keep it stirring.
Okay. I can do
Almost
that.
there.
You're watching the pork chop?
I am.
And then we are going to do a little fresh grated ginger. So your ginger knob looks like
Right.
that. I'm just going to cut a little bit of the skin off because that's not something you really want in your dish.
It's delicious looking. My goodness. Whoops.
You could turn that down. That one's a nice hot burner.
Yeah,
Whoops.
right.
And a microplane is a really good thing to use for this. So we're going to grate a little bit of fresh ginger in. And that's going to give it a really nice flavor too.
And ginger's healthy for you.
It is.
Right.
It
And it's
is
got a
great
little
for the
bit of a bite
digestion.
to it, so
Right.
it really is a nice noticeable flavor. And it goes well with the other spices that you used.
And then we're going to also, let me try that again. We're going to also add a little bit of zest, orange zest in here.
Oh,
All
wow.
right.
Wow.
And so tell everybody what zest is in case they don't know. It's just
The zest is just the orange part of the orange. So you don't want to get the white. The white is bitter. It's called the pith, is
pith.
the white.
Exactly, the white is the pith.
But just the skin, and that's where all the oils are for the orange, and you get the most flavor out of that.
Okay.
And then we're going to add some cranberries and a shallot. Can you chop that up for me
Absolutely.
real quick? We're going to add a little shallot in there.
Yeah, here's your knife. Well, the shallot's all chopped. That's
Yep,
a shallot.
yep.
Wanna give it to
Oh,
her?
There's
that's
a-
right.
That's shallot that I had done
Right
for
here?
him.
Well, you can throw it in there.
All of it?
Yep.
Okay.
And we're going to add some fresh cranberries in there.
Thank you.
Not fresh, I'm sorry, dried cranberries.
Right, oh, delish. Oh my God.
So you got the
this is so
sweet,
good.
you got the bitter, you've got the tart, you've got the citrus.
This is
You've got
fabulous
some really
looking and
nice
so yummy.
flavors. You like
Does
that?
it end up with any sauce or not? I
Not
feel sometimes like
really, no.
sauteing has more liquid.
No,
It
not
doesn't
really.
need to.
No, not really, not really.
Fabulous.
And then a little bit of,
How's that doing? Good?
do we have some of that fresh thyme too, just to
Fresh
finish
thyme.
it off. And I think we've talked about too, when you're adding fresh herbs, you do want to make sure, let's get rid of that.
Did you want to do this, or I just pull it off with my
Yeah,
fingernails?
You can do that.
And just throw it
So
in?
you're
Do you
gonna-
have to crush it?
You're going to chop it a little bit to get like
Okay.
the best flavor out of it.
Okay,
Let me just grab one too,
Yeah,
and I'll
go
show
ahead.
you real quick.
thank you.
When you're doing herbs, oops, I didn't get a very good branch. You kind of hold it at the top and pull straight down, and the leaves will come off very easily that
Right.
way. You go the bottom down, it's not going to work. So kind of against the grain that it grows.
Right. And
that'll
that's true
give
for
you
almost all of the,
all of
you
the
know, I
fresh
do it with
herbs.
parsley, I do it with everything.
And
Okay.
you're going to add them at the end, and that way you have the best flavor. If you're using dried herbs, if fresh isn't available, remember it's a 1-to-3 ratio, 1 part dried to 3 parts fresh.
Okay. So these things look kind of done.
Yeah.
And we're working on the pork chop.
Just about done.
Perfect. I'm going to give you some space, Carlos. Get rid of this.
We get everything in there, we got everything in there. And that's it. Do you need this burner?
I do need that burnt. Yep,
We'll
thank
get
you.
that out of the way.
And what I'm going to do is I just need my tongs. I'll put them down somewhere.
I thought they were in your pocket.
Where are they? They're gone.
Ah,
You know,
did you find them?
Oh, they're in
We'll
the
use
sink.
2
Yeah, yeah,
forks.
perfect. I was just going to
'Cause
put
I
them in
have
plate.
some
Yep,
somewhere.
thank you. Thank you.
you're welcome.
And then
Wow.
we want to deglaze the pan a little bit. Calvados.
Calvados.
Calvados. About a
And
quarter of a cup in
Now,
here.
is this brandy?
It is, right?
It's an apple brandy, French
apple
apple brandy. And deglazing basically just means that you're loosening, absolutely, you're loosening up all the goodness that's based on the bottom of the pan. So deglaze is to, it's kind of a nice way to say clean the pan,
clean
but
the
you're
pan.
cleaning all the good stuff into the juice of the Calvados.
Right.
Doesn't sound good to say clean and then serve
No.
it, but it's essentially what
Okay.
you're
So
doing.
Laura, want to put your in here, what you're going to do there?
Yep.
I'll be glad to serve you. We're putting the braised cabbage in this beautiful cabbage leaf.
Put about
Yeah,
a
that's
teaspoon.
just about done.
of-
It has to be done.
Choose coast,
I'll
you need
hold
to
it
get in
open
there.
for you.
No, I can wait. Just get some time.
Fabulous. This is so pretty too on the
Yeah,
plate.
that's a
It
great way
is
to
really
serve it,
pretty.
right?
That's a very pretty way to serve
you.
it.
Yeah, you're going to
That's
take
great.
that outer leaf off
Okay.
anyway, so.
Just gonna
Does this
get
go in?
this all
the shallot?
broken down a little bit. It's gonna go in 1 second. The only thing I need is a little bit of thyme,
Time.
more thyme.
More time.
Time. That's here. How much? That?
Yeah,
like
it's
amount?
perfect. I'm just gonna pull that, this leaves from there.
This is a very classic French sauce with the mustard and the shallots and
yeah.
the
Can I
calvados.
put it
and-
in?
Yeah, please. Yep,
You're going to
need
finish
more?
it with
Yeah.
a little cream?
I am. I'm just gonna put this in here first.
Yeah. These are shallots.
Shallots, finely chopped.
There you go.
Thank you.
And shallots are nice. They're much milder than an onion. They're great in dressings
And what is in
something like
here?
this that's a
That
little more
is
delicate
some
in
apple
flavor.
cider,
Apple cider.
Just gonna
and
get this.
cream.
and the cream goes last,
Yes.
Cream goes last because
Otherwise
it
it
can burn,
curdles.
right?
Huh? Yeah.
Just a little bit of, want to make sure that it's,
If you're dairy intolerant, even right at this point, it still would be delicious.
Right.
If you don't
even
want to add the
without
milk,
adding. Thank you.
I put half and half in here before,
half an apple work.
and it works well. So it's kind of the same thing.
But this happens to be heavy cream.
It does. This is heavy cream,
All right.
and then you just need to reduce that a little bit. And then this will make an amazing sauce.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hold it up
sure.
because I want them to see what a
hot.
good-looking gravy that is. It looks It's not thick, but it's beautiful
So it
and
just needs to
brown
cook
and-
down a little bit more and it'll turn to a nice, yeah,
So for the magic of TV, we'll pretend that it has cooked down,
Yeah,
perfect.
because we're getting the sign that we are out of time today.
delicious.
There you
Oh,
go.
my goodness, how fabulous.
Yeah,
That is absolutely wonderful.
It's such an easy dish,
Thank you.
right?
You're
You-
welcome. It's beautiful, yeah.
And it
Ooh,
looks
and
like
then
a
we gotta
company
do
dinner.
a little.
It absolutely looks like a company dinner.
Or you could serve that too with it, which would be
Oh,
really
yeah,
great.
We should plate that.
Or that would be lovely with salmon. That'd be really good too. So
Hold on, let me grab a
Like me to-
plate.
it's okay.
Put that in
It's
here?
okay.
No?
So there's our dishes.
Here you
That
go,
looks
Laura.
beautiful.
Why don't you plate the Brussels sprouts and chicken?
And here we are.
Oh, that's true. We have the chicken in there, but if you didn't want to do the chicken, you
Right,
could do
you could just
salmon.
do a
I jumped
braised-
ahead of myself, sorry.
No, that's okay. You can do braised Brussels sprouts as it is. Right. Okay, so look what we've got. We've got braising, we've got searing, and oven
Yeah,
cooking,
oven cooking,
and
right.
more braising, and sautéing in here. We've done everything, and hopefully you will enjoy it, and you will try all of these
Absolutely.
recipes and some of your own, and be creative, and add some things, and let us know what you did.
And just as a side, there is a bonus long-term braised cabbage with some nice red
Zinfandel,
Zinfandel
right, that
in
takes a
there,
little longer,
excuse me.
And that'll be an extra recipe for you up on the Stoughton Media Access website.
Absolutely.
So fabulous.
TV bonuses.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Hope you had a wonderful time. See you soon.
Thank you.
Enjoy.